They had the slur maker on in those days. All right, that I understand. All right, here's what you do, folks. You go to take your cell phone. I want you to now go to your window. Open it. What movie?
Can't remember.
Network.
Recognize it.
Network. Oh, great scene. Go to your window. Open it. And I want you to yell as loud as you can. I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. All right, I want you to pick up your cell phone and put a text in the text slot, or in the, what do you call it, in the address slot. You type in these numbers, 94253. Can you do that? It spells whale. It's W-H-A-L-E. For those of you that spell whale, W-A-L-E. W-H-A-L-E, type in 94253. And then in the actual text box, just type PITT, P-I-T-T. And you will get an instant idea of what Mr. Morse does for the University of Pittsburgh and for a little phone company called AT&T, who gets a little plug. So if you're looking at your phone right now, you know that if you do that, and the numbers one more time, 94253, and then PITT, you are looking at, you can type in and you can say, I want scores. So anytime Pitt scores, Ty, or anybody scores?
Big East. But
Big
East, but it features Pitt.
So all right, so if you're a gambler, you're in love with this, okay? You can get alerts. No, what are alerts?
And that's our next application, be gambling on those bad boys.
Oh, I would imagine so, yeah. Well, you could easily do. You're only an inch away from that goal line. But what are alerts?
Alerts will be announcements that could be from the team, from the athletic department. This player is drafted. Okay. There's an injury. Here's our new schedule for the upcoming season.
Tickets for the bowl game.
Exactly, and special offers.
All right.
So
then you have prizes. So if you type in Win Pitt, which I guess everybody's going to do, by simply going to 94253 and typing Pitt, and then typing in Win Pitt, you have a chance of winning some sort of
weekly
drawing.
Prizes every week. You're automatically entered.
What kind of prizes?
It's free. Tickets to the next game, autographed jerseys, a special opportunity to watch the game from the sideline. Maybe it's something as small as a Pitt T-shirt, but it's just free, and it's just part of loyalty.
That's Chris Ferris's problem.
It's Chris Ferris's problem.
Okay.
Chris, you got to
figure that out. All right. You know, Ferris used to work for me. You know that?
Did he really?
Oh, yeah. Next time you talk to him, yeah, he used to work for me a long time ago.
I'm texting him right now.
Yeah, okay. He'll deny it, but he did. He was a little dwarf intern. and in fact, his sister bought my mother's condominium in Mount Lebanon.
Chris is a good guy.
Oh, I love Chris.
And he's
I tried to hire him so many times because he's just a ball of energy.
And he's sharp.
Yeah, he's very sharp. Nothing wrong with Chris Ferris. But yeah, he used to run around and do stuff for me when I used to run the scoreboard at Pitt Stadium and at the field house.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's many years ago. Many years ago. I'll tell you that whole story someday. All right.
That's what I haven't heard.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories you haven't heard. I suspect there's a lot of stories about you I haven't heard. Anyway, Ty Morse is my guest, and that essentially is one of the things that Songwell. Let's talk about Songwell in general. First off, how did you come up with the idea for this business? Because this is the sweetest marketing play that you can think of. It's really a giant brand deal where you bring promotional partners together, and I'm sure take some money out of the middle. We won't talk about that, but give us some example. I think the best way to illustrate what exactly you do is by example, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Okay. I mean, it's hard to conceptualize because it's mobile technology. It's all new. I think the Pitt example is a great one in terms of the basic functionality of Songwell. So our platform is built off of text messaging, or SMS, which we just experienced with texting Pitt to Whale.
What is SMS? I plead ignorance. SMS?
Short message system.
Is that what that means? Okay, I've heard that term. And you know how I always tell my students, don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to look stupid. Ask the question. And I've never
At least that's what I think it means. So who knows what it actually means?
Right. You're not a technologist, are you?
I'm not a technologist. I have a genius business partner who
does all your tech stuff.
Does all the technology, and that's really where we kind of.
But you have such an interesting background. You're from Wisconsin, and you started out when you were in your teens, and you decided to compose a rock opera. That was your first venture, right?
That was the first venture, yeah.
Tell the people about that.
I wouldn't say the music is good, but it was
but there
was a fun process.
There was a guy that lived in your town.
Yeah, there was a guy. So the story goes, I was 18 years old. I was in English class, and all of a sudden the teacher says, well, we're about to read Beowulf, so I'm going to play you Beowulf the rock opera that was written 7 years earlier by John Greenlee. And
now, John Greenlee was from the same high school that teacher was teaching at,
exactly,
right?
7 years before me.
Did the teacher know that?
The teacher knew John 7 years earlier as a student. Okay. And played,
so she decided to play this rock opera.
He decided to play this rock opera because he thought it was neat and he thought it was a great, fun intro to Beowulf, the epic Scandinavian poem.
For Beowulf.
You got to do something.
He needs help. Yeah, right. Yeah.
He needs help.
Yeah. So he plays the rock opera.
So he plays the rock opera, and he says this was written by John Greenlee. And
you were what, a senior in high school?
I was a senior in high school.
Okay. So you hear this rock opera and you go, "Where's the rest?"
I said, yeah, where's the rest? And the teacher said, well, it was written, John and Zach London wrote it. And I said, where's the rest? And the teacher said, well, they only got through the first half. And I said, I want to do the second half. And I recognized the name, John Greenlee. It was my parents' best friend's son, but he had been 7 years older than me.
Was he kind of like a local hero?
Not really. Okay. He was a little bit of a local rock star.
Okay.
He played in local bands and stuff like that.
So you watched him play?
I had watched him play when I was a kid. When I was maybe 9, he was 16. He was 16 and he was rocking there on stage.
All right. So you called him up. You called up Greenlee.
I called up Greenlee and
said, I want to finish your work of art.
I said, I want to finish your work of art.
Was he offended by that?
He was more too busy to care. He's kind of like, whatever, kid. I remember you from picnics, Memorial Day picnics, when you were, a little kid running around.
Yeah.
And he said, well, and he was a big music buff. He still is. And he said, well, what kind of training do you have? What do you play? And I said, I don't play anything. And he said, well, good luck, whatever. He said, call me when you have something, and we'll see what happens. And to this day, he'll say he never expected me to call back. And right then and there, I said, well, I got to go do this. I think that very day I went out and bought a guitar, a Fender with the sunburst finish. It cost me $450. Cut a lot of lawns to get that bad boy. It was acoustic. It was a Fender acoustic.
You went acoustic. All right. Okay.
And
$450. Wow, you went top scale.
I went top scale. I spent all my summer earnings. Yeah, that was it, man. I blew it out.
You know what? You're kind of like Cortez. When he burned his ships. By buying an expensive guitar, you have to learn how to play that. Or you're going to look at it every day and say, that's my whole summer up in smoke.
There it is. Yeah, I guess I could, light it and have one nice bonfire.
There you go, right.
But
so how did you taught yourself how to play the guitar?
Yeah, which is why I'm not very good.
By the way, Les Paul died today.
Really?
Yeah.
Les Paul's from Milwaukee, where I grew up.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Where's Mary Ford from?
No idea.
All right, Les Paul's from Milwaukee. He just died today. 94 years old. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So so you taught yourself how to play.
Taught myself how to play. Wrote a couple, pretty probably tough to listen to songs at this point. But I sent them along to John, and I think he was surprised. He said, "Okay, these aren't that bad. I'll work with you on this." I went up to the Twin Cities. He had a recording studio at that time,
which you now own.
Yeah. Well, we have the studio up there in the Twin Cities. Yeah, that same place.
All right.
That same place.
Okay.
So that's stayed in the family, the recording studio, and we've done other musicals there.
So you finished that rock opera, and it became relatively successful. Then you decide you want to do your own rock opera, right?
I went off to college, and one of the RA in my dorm heard this, and he was an English major, and he said, "What is that?" I said, "It's Beowulf the rock opera." And he went and told some English professor, and I got called in a couple days later, and they said, "You made a rock opera on Beowulf?" And I said, "Yeah, I did that." And they said, "Well, we'll give you a full course of credit if you want to make another one on a piece of literature."